The record reflect it's 6:30. On our agenda today, we have consider the approval of the minutes of the Special Public Safety Committee meeting held on January 9th, 2018. I'd like to get a motion.
So moved.
Seconded?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion's approved. Item number 3, update on request for proposals, RFPs for ambulance services. Like to get an update on that?
Absolutely.
Mr. Carr.
Just to bring you up to speed, we've been meeting, Chief Reeder, myself, and 2 firefighters back there, part of our ambulance committee. And we've been discussing some of the things with the RFP. We plan on having a draft RFP in front of the committee in March. This will go to everybody prior to that for review. And then our game plan is for it to go to the board, and then for a release date for the RFP in April, early April of this year. So, but everything's going well. We have engaged a citizen for some input to the RFP. Chris Swick, Chief Reeder, and myself met with him today and got some of his viewpoint as a citizen on some of the ambulance service stuff. So we will be incorporating some of that also into the RFP.
Okay, thank you. We'd like to also discuss the emergency management dispatch training. That'd be you, Pat? Or
Yes, me again. As you put all 3 of them on the one memo to make it easy.
Okay.
Actually, it's the emergency medical dispatch training. There was a little typo there. The emergency instead of the emergency management training. Our dispatchers just recently completed emergency medical dispatch training that was conducted by Orland Fire Protection District, and we are waiting them to get their certification, which should be shortly. The game plan is they will take over from Kurtz in the dispatching around the June or July timeframe toward the end of their current contract. So that will reduce costs on the contract or any contract moving forward. With our in-house team of dispatchers, we'll be handling all the emergency medical calls.
All right. That's great. Item number 5, discuss public safety Facebook page.
So the public safety Facebook page, this was an idea that came a little bit out of the Neighborhood Watch program and the citizens asking for some additional ways to notify residents of different things going on. We're planning, this Facebook page is up and ready to go. It's currently parked. We're just waiting on getting some of our dispatchers up to speed as far as the policy and procedure of trying to post things on this website or on this Facebook page. The bottom line for this Facebook page for public safety, it's for informational purposes only. It's not meant as a notification tool. So this is just something that will be after the fact of an incident or as fast as somebody can put something on there. But again, it's not meant to give a play-by-play, scenario of what's going on a given incident. It will be factual information when the dispatchers or senior level personnel in public safety can post something. So it'll be a mix of, could be incidents going on, could be informational things. That's what'll go on it. But again, I'd just like to remind everybody, it's not meant as a notification service. So it's just meant for informational purposes only.
Well, like question, I've had a couple people ask me, how many pages do we need? We have the village page. We have all things Tinley page. And of course, our own website for the village. We have the red alert. Is this redundant? Is a possibility that some people will get this, other people won't? Is it going to overlap? That was the questions that people asked me about it.
It's a good question, and I guess as it relates to public safety information, I mean, I guess any information is good. If we could cover different outlets. With this, with our current Facebook page, a lot of us don't have the rights to post anything on that. So let's say after 5 o'clock, we would have to get a hold of somebody for the Facebook or wait till the next morning to get something posted. So it's not meant as something that might happen after hours. So with this public safety Facebook page, myself, Chief Reeder, Chief Neubauer, department heads in public safety and deputies will have access, along with the dispatchers, to be able to post something once they're able to give information, versus going to the administrator with the, that's holding the Facebook page now, because there's only 2 to 3 people that hold those administration rights.
Okay.
Gotta be careful you don't, like that guy in Hawaii who posted the missile thing. Watch who controls those messages.
Okay, item number 6, discuss ordinance prohibiting ice skating, no water recreation activities. I know that was a proposal.
Maybe, Pat, do you want to
Yeah, I can
maybe
jump
add in on this?
Sure, so staff had brought this to our attention. I think there were a few residents that had inquired about ice skating on some of the village-owned detention and retention ponds when they freeze over. Obviously, I grew up skating on some ponds myself, but when you put the lawyer hat on, there's certain liability issues that come with that. Most park districts and things like that do not allow it on the body of water. I think in talking to staff, there were outlets where people could participate in ice skating in the area. And we really didn't have anything codified, which makes it somewhat tricky to post signage and things like that. So all that is codifying a long-standing policy in the village, which will allow public works and things like that to post signage, that it would be trespassing, to do that. So we recommend it. We think it's a good policy, and it'll be an amendment to your code if the committee wants to move it up to next week.
Okay. That would, as you said, retention ponds as well as some of our park district ponds as well?
Well, Park District, they're their own separate entity, but for the village-owned areas that, have water in them for whatever reason, those would now be codified as trespassing, to be ice skating on those, and appropriate signage will be posted.
Okay. Okay, item number 7, discuss the schedule, fire station number 2, architectural engineering services.
Trustee Brady, just
Yes.
real quick, are you guys okay with that? Do you want to, you want
Yes,
to
I think
motion
it'd be
that
good.
up to your meeting? And
We
if you
can
guys
put
have
a
any
motion
questions
to
in the
it.
meantime, let us know.
Make a motion to bring it up to the meeting.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 7, discuss the schedule for the fire station number 2, architectural engineering services, request for qualifications, RFQs. Is that Pat, or is that you, Chief?
That's me. Thank you. Just a quick update. The RFQ for professional services was issued on January 10th, with interested parties submitting their qualifications on January 25th. We had a total of 12 very qualified firms submit their proposals. Following that, on January 5th, John and I met with our construction management firm, the Wegman Group, to review the presentations that we had collected there, and we selected 6 semifinalists to conduct a interview on February 12th. Right before that interview took place, one of the firms withdrew from consideration, citing some workload concerns that they had, and opted out of the project. So we spent the entire day yesterday having them give presentations back to us. And through that process, at this time, we've come up with 2 finalists that we're going to ask back for a final interview late next week. And what we're going to be looking at there is the key factors in the evaluation is previous local fire station construction experience with emphasis on station design in residential areas, and their adherence and conformance to budget parameters are going to be some of the key factors that help us get to the finalist. It's our intent that we select a finalist for one additional interview to be conducted the following week, and as we get that scored away, we're hoping that at the March 13th Public Safety Committee meeting, we'll give you a recommendation for the selection of our architect.
Getting a step closer, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Before we take comments from the public, I want once again to thank Chief Neubauer on the Neighborhood Watch program that you had in safety over there at the station last Saturday. It was well attended, deserves to be applauded for all the work that went into it, the people that showed up, and we even had a mini captains meeting there, the neighborhood captains watch over there as well. So that's moving in the right direction. It was well attended. Chief, how many?
Probably 150 people, and there was some staff time involved, but we are getting some help from citizens too, which is, in a program like that, it's critical. So
Right.
we didn't do it all ourselves, we had some volunteer help, and yeah, I think it was very well attended and very informational.
Yeah, for the manufacturers and dealers that came out to
And the vendors liked it too, so.
vendors, yeah, absolutely. So thank you. Okay, I'd like to receive comments from the public.
I did want to just add to that. Thank you for doing, I know, it's all a lot of extra work, but for doing those type of events, it really does help us,
Well, it gets the word out, let people know what's available.
It's a good thing. I thought it was great. What I wanted to talk tonight about is the ambulance service contract, as you start to think this through and put this out to bid or contract or whatever that's going on with it. I've spoken before. Everybody understands how I feel about the services with outsourcing our EMTs. I don't like it. The turnover. I watch their site, and they're always looking for people for our area. The turnover is too high. The pay is too low. We're not keeping anybody. And from my own experience, the service isn't there. It's not who I want to come save myself or anybody in my house, and neither would you. So I'm going to ask that you guys really consider starting to make changes to this. Doing something, starting to have some of our own full-time staff, or forcing whoever gets the bid to a much higher pay. I want full-time people. To want to have something bad happen when I'm in Orland because I know their staff is better, isn't a good reflection in Tinley Park. We deserve better as taxpayers, and I think you would want better. How many fires did we have here last year? Just on average, anybody know?
It's close to 30.
30 fires? Why do you feel that outsourcing of our EMTs is better than having full-time? Chief, I assume this is really I'm assuming these are your decisions. I would hope we use your decisions because you're the expert on this.
Yeah, Diane, we've been doing it since the start, since we've been having EMS service in the village. So it's always been outsourced. I've been here 12 years and managing the administrative side of it, and it was here previous to me. So that's, that's the way.
But put that aside. Making the right decisions for our village, for your families, my families, all of our families. Is this the right decision for our families? Is this the right way to continue going? Forget the past. It's gone.
So what we're doing is we've listened to the residents and we formed this committee, and we're looking at different options. We are looking at setting minimum pay, raising the pay. Part of the things that we talked about a few months ago about the extension of the contract and some of the ways that we wanted to incorporate the fire department more are going to be part of that process. And part of that process, it isn't like we could just go tomorrow and start full-time people.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
It's a ramp-up effort. It would not only be a lot of time, but a lot of money, as we know. We hate throwing the budget word out there as it relates to human life, but the facts are there as far as how is it going to be paid for. So what we have and what the chief has put together, along with firefighter Randall and firefighter Wooten, we're trying to come up with a plan that improves this service as it is. And then gradually, what we want to do as part of our plan is starting to get our engines and trucks ALS certified. So that's the first step, to get that portion so we can start the fire department can start assisting with the the EMS service. And then as things
Is that
ramp.
possible, though, with the contract? Because you'd mentioned one time that there was a contract that they really can't help.
Well, we're
Right
putting
now.
it in
Oh.
the contract that this will be able to be phased in. As
Okay.
we get there, we will be able
Good,
to phase
that's good
in.
to hear. I like that.
So, and so this, incorporates a lot of coordination with our regional medical directors, talking to that, and that's something that the chief has been doing. And again, with help from the fire department here and the firefighters that are paramedics, to come up with this plan. But
Good.
it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's a phased plan. We've been directed by the board to explore all these options, so.
Good. Well, I'm glad they're
that's
having
what
you
we're gonna
explore
do,
that
so.
option, because to me, that's a much better option. And I think about 30 fires, and I think about, we have people in our firehouses. Why wouldn't we ask them to be both firemen and EMTs? And of course, they would be paid higher. I mean, not asking them to do it for the same wage. Pay them more to be that level, so we can react to that. I mean, we have them in there, 30 fires in a year. They could help, you know, and it could save us money. And we have to think about that and say, I don't want to, hope nobody would ever make decisions just because, you know, it's cheaper when it comes to our lives. You know what I mean? I can come up with better ways to cut your budgets, you know, to find money to cover this, because I know I could. But don't make those decisions on money, please. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? At this point in time, like a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. We're adjourned.
I'd like to call the Public Works Committee meeting to order. Do I have a motion to approve the special Public Works Committee meeting held on January 9th, 2018.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Number 3, discuss take-home vehicles. Pat, you want to talk about that?
Sure. Attached, you have a list of the current personnel that do have vehicles, take-home vehicles. As we say in the memo, you know, in number 2, we're recommending, similar to with the police department, if we have any new employees that are currently in one of those positions, that a new employee that is out of town, they would not get a take-home vehicle. The people that currently have it now are grandfathered in. And then number 3, as it relates to the take-home vehicles, we are recommending that John Urbanski be reinstated with his take-home vehicle, simply because he is responsible for a lot of the emergency call-outs for our infrastructure and our radio system. So we feel it's in the best interest of the village to have him to reinstate his vehicle.
Anyone have any problems with this?
Well, I thought we were going to discuss this as a board, the vehicles. Thought that's what we discussed at the.
Starts off at a
budget.
committee meeting, that's what we're here to
No,
discuss.
like a cow. You're just taking it to the board and then you're going to vote on it?
Yeah, I mean, does this need to even be voted on, Pat, or?
I mean, it's a policy, you know, certainly the board's prerogative to vote on it. I mean, if you want to advance it out of this committee to Cal, you know, you guys can certainly do that.
Or just put it on a regular board
Or
meeting?
put it on a regular board meeting, sure.
You don't have any changes, Brian? Bless you.
Well, they made changes, that I liked recommendations from the managers, that any new hires, that they would be affected by it, you know? What do you want to see other than
Well,
this?
it was last year, you were fighting back and forth with Mayor Seaman about the people that had vehicles that didn't live in town.
No, just that anybody that's going forward, a new policy as far as take-home vehicles.
Yeah, I don't see how we justify that to the public for taxpayer dollars being paid for people that don't live in the village taking home vehicles. You know, we did it to the, you know, you guys, that was part of the deal we had with the police. I don't understand why it would, you know, why it would stop there. It should be a village-wide policy. Pat, do you know how many of these vehicles that we have that's on that list that don't live in town?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
Do you know how many people on this list don't live in town? Or chief, maybe?
I believe there's 2.
Okay, thanks.
Chief Newbauer, what about as far as like the K-9 officer? He would obviously need a take-home car, right?
He lives in town.
He lives in town,
He
okay.
lives in town, so yeah. The only change we have a detective who's out of town. When they're on call, we let them take the car because they have to respond, for instance, we get a sex assault, they have to respond to the hospital from home, things like that. It's an efficiency, it's got a
Okay.
rooted in efficiency, that's all.
I'm just worried about the optics. Police officer moves, he parks his vehicle at the police station.
Anybody else have any comments? Now we can move this make a motion to move this to the board.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Carries 2-1.
Number 4, discuss environmental indemnity agreement. Chris, you want to talk about this?
Sure. We got two things in front of the committee. One is the agreement for it's the old 7-Eleven that was at the southeast corner of 167th Street and Oak Park Avenue. Used to have some underground leaking storage tanks there that they cleaned. They're looking to get their no further remediation from the IEPA. So the IEPA requires this agreement rather than getting everything cleaned up, because there are still some trace elements that are in there. And so the companion part of that is an agreement that says they, as the property owner, indemnifies the village for any costs should at some point in time some cleanup need to be done. We don't know that there's actually any contamination within the village's right-of-way. The plume that's underneath may or may not extend into the right-of-way. That's part of the theory. And the two things that they can't have is a well, that we would never allow a well. It's prohibited by ordinances. The second thing is that if we ever have to do some construction works, we might have some contaminated soil. So we have a responsibility to manage that, but all of our costs would be covered by them as the property owner, rather than them clean it up on the chance that, hey, that we would come across it in some damage. That's the theory. So I know that the attorneys, drafted the second agreement. That's the companion agreement.
So similar to the one that we did about a year ago, right, for the Speedway?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a standard kind of agreement, and this, I'm guessing that there's probably gonna be a real estate transaction, that they're looking to sell it. They can't sell it without having this resolved. But this burden of the cleanup runs with the land, so therefore, whoever the new owner is gonna have that same responsibility. We, the village, has that protection, so no financial exposure to it.
Does anybody have any questions in regards to that?
Just for record, that was the northwest corner.
South, it's actually the southeast corner. It's it used to be a 7-Eleven there.
Right.
It's northwest corner.
Is it northwest?
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
on
you're
the
getting
other side.
confused
Yeah.
because the other one's
Yeah.
7-Eleven.
Yeah,
used
you're
to be
right. No, you're
Whitehead.
right, you're right.
I just want to make sure for the record.
I know the other one's a 7-Eleven in Hearst.
Yeah.
What happens to this agreement if they sell?
No, you're right, yeah.
Follows the
It
owner,
runs
he
with the
said,
land.
Opposite.
to the new owner.
So I'll just say, Chris did a very nice job of explaining that. And I guess the main thing is, from our municipality standpoint, when the IEPA started requiring these, they're commonly referred to HAA agreements, Highway Authority Agreements, HAA. Municipalities were kind of put in a tough spot because you had folks who wanted to transfer property and you had some liability laying out there. And, municipalities tried, putting some of this indemnity language right into the HAA agreement, but that's an IEPA agreement. They will not allow one change to it. So the idea, and it's, I don't want to say standard, these don't happen all the time, but Brian, you mentioned last year, but, similarly around gas stations, 7-Eleven, things like that, when they transfer property, villages often require this separate indemnity agreement to go along with it. So when you see at the board level next week, you may see the term HAA, Highway Authority Agreement. That's what this is. This indemnity agreement needs to go with it. Needs to be signed by both the village and 7-Eleven to protect us.
Needs to come to the board, right?
Yes.
Do we have a motion to bring this to the meeting?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 5, discuss road improvement project, 80th Avenue, 183rd to 191st. That's the Will County extension. Chris, you want to talk about that?
I'm going to pass out a copy just as a quick reminder. We went over this at the committee back in October of last year. And so the county's looking for the village and really the direction of the Public Works Committee to confirm that, yes, this is indeed the direction we want to go with some of the enhancements for the 80th Avenue project. So the key to focus on is the highlighted section of that front page of that memo. You know, the top part of that, there's things that need to be done with traffic signals, street lighting, and sidewalks. Those are required of us regardless, because that infrastructure is in there by way of permit. So it's just to understand that we have a cost involved on that. The upgraded cost under the part below the heavier line, and we talked about, enhancements to the bridge. And there was 3 levels that they did, level 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 sort of being a nominal kind of improvement upgrade, level 2 being the middle of the road, and level 3 being like the most expensive of the 2. And only because picture says 1,000 words, I attached the pictures from those exhibits to the memo. It'd be labor, you'd take a lot of your time if I tried to describe exactly what each of those levels mean. At the last time, we said, the bridge enhancements, we do want some sort of branding. We don't know exactly what that will look like. The pictures that are in there were developed by the county some years ago. So those were just concepts, not saying that these are what we're looking at. It's just to give a sense that, level 1 of an enhancement is just a very nominal kind of upgrade. Level 2, you start to get some more aesthetic features. Level 3 allows for some sort of branding. Nicer railings, things that we can do to enhance it. And of course, it comes with a much steeper price tag. So the committee was at the time pondering, hey, we consider level 3. And one thing I would keep in mind is that we're not committing to this today. The reason why the county needs to have this information is they want to finalize the phase 1 report. And it's always easier for us to back away and say, well, we didn't get it funded or we've chosen not to do it than to get it added in later. So that's why this is important. So level 3 is what I believe the committee wanted to pursue as it related to the bridge railing. The intersections, we talked about 183rd, 185th, and 191st Street. And really, the 185th Street, we said, really, there's no reason to do an upgrade any more than the level 1, which is, basically crosswalks, enhanced safety, median islands if you got exclusive right turn lanes, which we would have because of the industrial traffic. 183rd, 191st Street are both your major types of intersections, but they're not really keyways within the community. And that's really the difference between the level 2 and the level 3. They both have enhanced aesthetics, stamped crosswalk kind of things, very pedestrian friendly, very complete street. But the level 3 included keyway features on opposite corners, which would be like benches and plazas. It's really the kind of thing that you would see at an entranceway to a community. I would picture something like Oak Park Avenue and 159th Street, or 159th and Harlem, where you're coming into the community. So it was the question then, do we spend another $100,000 each of those to put in features that maybe would be better served as entrance features? And so what I did is I just kind of highlighted, the sense was a level 1 at 185th Street, level 2 at the other 2 intersections. And then to the right kind of gives you a sense of what our cost consequences are. We're upwards of about $2 million of our responsibility, either in upgrades or things we have to do for the permit, from a permit standpoint with that improvement. That overall improvement's probably a $25 to $30 million project, not funded yet. They want to finish the phase 1. That'll give them a chance then to get out and get phase 2 for that leg of it. So they'll get the engineering done, and then, like anybody else, the county will be trying to secure funding to get this done.
Is there any possibility for us to get any grants towards our portion if we do this?
Great question, and that's really what the opportunity would be, is we would kind of keep this $2 million in the back of our mind and go look for other government money. ITEP is a nice one. The question right now is we don't know how well federal programs are going to be funded. There's been a big change in Washington, like we all know, and the funding levels are not going to be the same as they've been in the past. That doesn't mean it won't go away. So certainly we'd want to try to leverage any other funding we can. So ITEP is Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program. That's for things to fund in conjunction with a roadway improvement. So great program for that. We would also be pursuing probably CMAQ for the bike path portion of it. So there's ways we can break this down and try to secure funding. The county will get the phase 2 done, and that'll allow us then to apply for some funding to help cover some of the share.
This is just come from the committee meeting that we obviously go with your recommendations, and there's no expenditure of money going forward. This is at least 2 years out, so this is just to provide design concepts, so we're not spending any money.
I was going to ask,
Yeah.
what year's budget do we need to start committing money?
If I was the optimist, I'd say in about 4 years. I mean, and that's the realistic, for an agency, it'll take them it's taken them 4 years to get the phase 1 done. I'm gonna guess the phase 2 will maybe be a 2-year project for the county.
So we'd be budgeting this in 4
Yeah,
years.
yeah, about 4 years by the time this thing would be ready for, having all the funding secured.
And at the end of the day,
Wish-
you know,
wish-
Trustee Panito, you get, and Trustee Yonker, I mean, the board will have to approve a roadway improvement project at the end of the day, just like you do with anything else.
This is just putting it in front, so we have the chance to do it. If we don't do it now, we're not, it's gonna be too hard to get it in
It
later.
lets you ask for money at least here now, so we could ask for moon, and then when we get to the budget, we could say, well, right? I mean,
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
Let's get their foot in the door.
We have time. I say the key on this thing is to say, this is what we really think we want to have done, have them include it, and then we figure out a way to fund it. You know, we don't overshoot it though, just because, what do we really want? And I think this is what was described and what I thought the committee had feedback from the last time. It says, yeah, this sounds like what we're looking for out there. We're looking for confirmation, so we can tell the county, yes, finalize the phase 1.
So they know what our intentions are.
Exactly.
Yeah, because we're kind of holding them back right now. They're waiting for decisions from us, so they want to move forward.
Motion to have these guys give direction to let them proceed with the drawings.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Discuss construction and engineering agreements, Oak Park Avenue, 167th to 159th Street project. This is for IDOT, correct?
Yeah, you know, that project is the improvement of Oak Park Avenue from 167th Street up to 159th Street. You know, it's a federal aid project, STP funded, so you need to have a more detailed type of engineering cost out there. It's full-time inspection, different types of material inspections have to be done. So the state's now approved the agreement, now it's ready to come to the board, because this looks like it should be an April letting, so construction should be this summer, which would be nice in conjunction with all of our pavement management program paving that'll be done too. That project should maybe be a 2-month project. And all they're doing is really coring out the road, building a new base. You know, so we'll have a new pavement out there within the existing curb. So the nice thing about that project is the old pozzolanic base that's underneath that, you know, was something that you were required to provide as an alternative, you know, some 30 years ago. It's never been used in the last 25 years, because you see what happens at Oak Park Avenue. Every winter, we get the ridges, everything pumps up. So it's nice that we were able to get this funded to get it replaced.
And the other part on that is the multi-use path is also going to be added with this.
Yeah.
Okay. That needs to come to the board then?
Yes.
Right. So we have a motion to add this to the regular board meeting?
Second.
Motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Kevin, you want to mention
Yeah,
something?
and just want to mention to you guys, I was told by finance and the village manager that our convention center TIF is coming to an end by December 31st, so we have to use that funding all up by the end of the year. So we had discussions with treasurer, village manager, and we want to put some of that money towards infrastructure assets for the village. Some of those assets will be in the downtown area, replacing water mains and sewers. And the other part will be resurfacing some streets on 183rd Street from Sayre to Oak Park, and some parking lot improvements at the convention center, and adding additional sidewalk down 183rd. So we're looking at the proposals on how, where we want to spend some of the money on the infrastructure, but we think that's the best place to put it is the infrastructure of Tinley Park. Use the money for our infrastructure. So it's just being aware if we're looking at that, way to use TIP funding to fund those projects.
Okay.
Yeah, and then just,
Makes
do you know
sense.
how much, Kevin?
What's that?
Do you know how much?
No, we're still looking at where we want to apply it to, but
Hey, just, Trustee Yonker, just to add, so everybody knows, so, and we hear it a lot, and, you know, our TIF meetings, and whenever you guys have a TIF item up here, you know, again, just because these projects, you know, these are TIF eligible expenses, you know, TIF is about, you know, improving infrastructure, things like that, you know, and also those agreements, when they're ready and let out and, you know, done correctly, those will all come before the board, you know, just because it's TIF funds, there's no magic wand that, you know, they just get done. So same process, you know, I know, 'cause we always talk about that at the meeting, so, I think it's just to let you guys know that, you know, there are some projects that have been planned, and, you know, as we're running out of life with the TIF, you know, those projects are, you know, going to be happening, but you guys will see you'll be approving the contracts, you'll be approving the dollar amounts, everything like that.
Is it limited to the geographical area that it could be spent in? You know what I mean? Does it have to be inside the actual?
There's a portability element to TIF. You know,
Because
yeah.
downtown,
Yes.
There's a portability element to TIF. Yeah.
okay, appreciate it.
Yes, and all that will be brought, like you said, to the board. This is just giving you guys general knowledge that we're looking at that to use it to funding for infrastructure.
Thanks for that update, Kevin. Number 7, receive comments from the public. Anyone wish to address the board in regards to the Public Works Committee meeting? Let the record show there is none. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Take care of this time.
We didn't want to.